Tanjiro versus the Sasuke Retrieval team is a matchup that on paper sounds completely one-sided. Hell, I'm sure all of you that clicked on this video have probably thought to yourselves, wow, trained ninja versus a regular human with a sword. That's gonna be a fair fight. Now, due to the complete lack of power scaling content when it comes to Demon Slayer cross-verse battles, especially on YouTube, I can't blame you for thinking that. But in today's video, we will see if Tanjiro has what it takes to stand up to the might of the Sasuke Retrieval squad. Chakra and breaths will not be equalized, and to make things fair, no chakra drain versions of these characters and no poison version of Tanjiro. To give you a general idea of how this battle will be, Tanjiro will be fighting these guys individually, and the battle will take place in the open field where Naruto fought Kimaru. The only one restriction that we will have is that we will prevent the use of outside help, meaning no summoning jutsu for Naruto. Also, to prevent us from being here all day, I'm only going to be scaling their speed, AP, durability, hacks, battle IQ, and I'll be naming you their weaknesses. Also, if it wasn't clear enough, there will be no Lee, no Kakashi, and no Sand Ninja, just the 5 initial shinobi who went out to rescue Sasuke. Lastly, if it wasn't obvious enough, we will be using the Tanjiro from Infinity Castle and the Sunrise Countdown, so we will not be using Demon King Tanjiro. Okay, so I think I've explained everything as best as I could. So let's start by scaling the Sasuke Retrieval squad. Now, even though Lee isn't participating, the best way that I can scale Neji is by first scaling Lee. In chapter 52, Lee defends against Dosu. However, what Lee reacts to is not the speed of sound itself, but Dosu coming at him. Lee even states that he believes their attacks are illusions since he can't actually see the sound. One thing that I have seen people interpret is that the sound ninja travel at the speed of sound themselves. And as far as I'm aware of, this has never been implied or stated anywhere. In addition, we see Sakura is able to react to Dosu speeding towards her and Lee, despite Sakura being nowhere near the speed of sound. This is further supported by the Naruto databooks, where it states that Sakura at the end of part 1 wasn't able to increase her speed between the start of the series and the end of the series. We know their attacks are at the speed of sound, but as far as we know, the sound is invisible to them as well. This is actually backed up later in chapter 52 where Lee uses the first gate to actually tag Dosu. Dosu goes for an attack on Lee saying, your moves might be fast but ours are supersonic, obviously implying that supersonic or Mach 1 is faster than what Lee just showed them. Now to make the scaling more streamlined, let's just grant Rock Lee in base with his weights on Mach 1. This would grant Lee being Mach 5 while in base while having his ankle weights on, considering that the first gate is a 5 times increase, since it allows you to access 100% of your muscle's potential, whereas a normal shinobi would only have access to 20% according to Might Guy. Keep in mind, this is Lee with his ankle weights on. Later on in the tuning exams, Lee performs a far more impressive feat by blitzing Gaara's automatic stand defense, which is something that no shinobi has ever done before him. This has been calculated to be as fast as Mach 29 as a low ball and as fast as Mach 58 as a high ball, which are both high hypersonic. I'll be using Gaara's highball scale since this scale has been recently updated, whereas the first one hasn't been calced since 2019. Keep in mind, Lee blitzed Gaara's automatic sand defense without any ankle weights and with no gates activated. If we include the 5 times amp that Lee gets when activating the first gate, this will put Lee from Mach 58 all the way up to Mach 290 with only the first gate. This would actually upscale Lee from high hypersonic all the way up to the low ranges of massively hypersonic, since Lee actually outsped Gaara's defense. This is as far as I can scale Neji off of Lee's feats, since the second gate isn't really a direct amp, it more so rejuvenates your body so you can perform better. I want to reiterate that although Neji might have been slightly slower than Lee in terms of travel speed, that doesn't really equate to combat or reaction speed. Guy even states that the blinding speed of the reverse lotus is Lee's key to beating Neji, and the Naruto databooks confirm that although Neji was slower than Lee in the tuning exams, he did catch up to his speed by the end of part 1. So during the retrieval mission, Neji should be relative to Lee, putting him at Mach 290. In terms of the durability department, this is by far Neji's worst stat. Like, by far. Now, given the last section where I was referring to speed, it should be well known that Neji's fighting style does not revolve around him taking attacks. Instead, Neji is the type to finish his fights quickly with his speed and not get hit. For this reason, Neji's durability is absolute shit. Now keep in mind, I'm talking about Neji's base durability, because when he's actually defending, meaning he's actually reacting to the attack, he has better durability. So... alright, let's just start with the bad, then end with the good. Neji's base durability is able to be bypassed by base Naruto. Yeah, remember that left hook Naruto sent to Neji's jawline? Neji bleeds out buckets. Now, to not be disingenuous, in order for Naruto to even create an opening to hit Neji in base form, he had to use Kuruma's chakra, because throughout the entire fight he wasn't able to land a single blow on Neji. When Naruto summons Kuruma's chakra, he is able to show relativity to Neji in his speed. Now, to Neji's credit, he was able to withstand the force of the Nine Tails with this rotation, which should be commended. Also, in Neji's fight against Kidomaru, he is able to withstand multiple chakra arrows head on, as well as withstand being punctured in the shoulder and in the stomach, and still fight. Now, I've seen calcs get Kidomaru's arrows to only building level due to the blast radius, but I want to try to scale Neji's AP and durability off of the Naruto that Neji fought. Now, in chapter 95, Naruto uses Kuruma's chakra to summon Gamabunta, and in chapter 104, Naruto mentions that the amount of chakra he got during his fight with Neji is even more than when he summoned Gamabunta. Now, depending on the translation, the power that Naruto used against Neji will either be more than when he summoned Gamabunta or the same. I'll assume it's stronger. The chakra that Naruto summoned should be stronger than when he confronted Orochimaru in the Forest of Death, where he is casually able to perform a multi-city block level feat by stopping Orochimaru's snake. Now obviously Neji's durability isn't necessarily the best, but Neji's durability should scale to his AP, since with his 8 trigrams he was able to withstand the force of Naruto's chakra. Now Naruto and Neji's clash would only scale them to around small building level, but we can assume that Neji would scale to the rest of the Sound Ninja based off of AP alone, since in the manga he was able to one-shot Kidomaru, who would scale to town level in his second stage of the curse mark. Now Neji is a user of the Gentle Fist fighting style, a style where it specializes in targeting an enemy's tenketsu or chakra points. The special benefit is that it allows the user to essentially shut off an enemy's chakra pathway system, which will in turn cut off the circulation to their organs. Most people assume that Neji or any other Gentle Fist user attack the organs specifically, but that's just not the case. They attack the tenketsu, which are all connected to the organs, which in turn causes organ failure. This is essentially the Naruto versus version of durability negation, and it's very effective due to the fact that in the Naruto verse you are unable to train your internal organs. This is why the Hyuga are revered as the strongest clan within the Hidden Leaf Village. Also, Neji possesses one of the strongest ocular jutsu in the entire world, the Byakugan, an ability that gives the user a 360-degree kinetic vision all around them, with a span of 50 meters, which essentially makes them have no blind spots. Now Neji's battle IQ is incredibly good. As shown with his fight against Kidomaru, he is able to analyze a situation when under extreme pressure by adapting to it and being able to come up with countermeasures for his enemy's fighting styles. Now the biggest weaknesses of Neji are two things: his lack of battle experience in terms of death battles and the Byakugan's blind spot. Now most people in any conversation regarding fights in Naruto, they like to point out the fact that Naruto characters are trained ninjas and that they've been training since they were kids and that they are experts. Now what I like to think is that most Genins in Naruto are not ninjas, they are ninjas in training. In chapter 298, this is further explained by Captain Yamato during the Tenchi Bridge arc. He explains that Naruto and Sakura are no longer apprentice ninja they need to be protected, but instead they are full-fledged shinobis. Now I equate this to two things: rank and experience without your sensei. The only person who fits the mold of a full-fledged shinobi is Naruto due to him being on 3 A rank missions. 2 of them are without Kakashi. This is because Genin are the lowest ranked ninja and are usually never assigned anything higher than a C rank due to the experience gap in the battle experience, which is reserved for Chunin and Jonin. Yes, Neji has experience in training, but in life or death situations he hasn't been on any until the recovery mission. This is why there's a common joke within the Naruto community about the Sasuke Retrieval mission that this is where boys became men, because it's kinda true. Now as for the Byakugan, Neji has a small blind spot above the thoracic vertebrae. Now if Neji is aware that you know of his blind spot, he can generate chakra from there so he can see incoming attacks. The downside is that if he emits chakra from his blind spot, he is unable to see anything around him. So he would have to know if you're only targeting that one specific spot. When it comes to speed, it's hard to really gauge Shikamaru's. We know that he is not of the same caliber of speed as someone like Lee or Neji, so we have to make a lot of speculations and assumptions. So first, we can use Shikamaru's battle with Keen. Not much to scale, he was able to dodge a few of her Sinbone which have been calculated to be subsonic, but that's about it. When it comes to speed, I feel like giving Shikamaru the benefit of the doubt. There have been calcs that get Shikamaru dodging Tamari's gust attack point blank and Shikamaru dodging her attack to be subsonic, which is a few tiers below supersonic. This seems to be consistent since his feats against Ken are very similar to the ones he has against Tamari. Now what I'm about to say isn't necessarily a feat, it's something that I just wanted to mention. When Lee attacked Tamari in chapter 74, she said that he wasn't as fast as she thought he was. Of course a few chapters later, she was basically insinuating that she was just shit talking, because when we got her internal dialogue, she did acknowledge Lee's speed. The same happened with Shikamaru. When he dodged both of Tamari's attacks, she acknowledged that he was pretty quick on his feet. Now, although it would be pretty presumptuous of me to say that Shikamaru during his fight with Tamari was as fast as Lee, I wouldn't call Shikamaru being at Mach 1 that unbelievable. Hell, if Sasuke could get to weightless Lee's speed in a month, I don't see why Shikamaru couldn't get to weighted Lee's speed in a month. Now we get to his fight against Hyuga and all of her dokis. There isn't really any conclusive speed feats that we can normally apply to Shikamaru. I mean, the only relevant speed feat that we have performed during this entire fight fight isn't even from Shikamaru or from Hyuga, it's from Temari. After she joined the fight, she casually performed a hypersonic plus feat by deflecting all of Hyuga's sound waves. Now I want you guys to keep in mind that I'm only using these calcs to get a general range of the feats themselves. I'm not saying that they are 100% factual pieces of evidence, so please don't assume that's what I'm doing. Now in chapter 178, we see Sasuke go against the Sound 4. Now although Sasuke was outnumbered, he was able to show relativity to them, at least in the speed department, even after getting jumped. Now keep in mind, this Sasuke is slower than the one that fought Gaara in the Chunin exams due to him just being healed. It would be disingenuous to think that Sasuke was at full strength, especially since he is fighting all of the Sound 4 right after his scuffle with Naruto. Now it would be safe to assume that these guys will be relative to a weightless Rock Lee in base, which is confirmed in Naruto's second data book, where it states that all members of the Sound 4 are relative in speed to Neji and to Sasuke when they were in the Chunin exams, except for Jirobo. And since Shikamaru showed relativity, we should say that he is at least around weightless Lee in terms of reaction speed. Also, I thought that I should mention that even though Naruto was fatigued, Hyuga was still able to land a hit off of Naruto, and he showed relativity to Sasuke on the rooftop. So I'll say in terms of reaction speed, Shikamaru should be at Mach 58, which is the speed of weightless Rock Lee without any gates on. When it comes to AP and durability, well, there isn't really much to talk about. I mean, Shikamaru was able to withstand Temari's Windside Jutsu, which should get him at around city block level in terms of durability. But this is where it gets kind of tricky to scale Shikamaru, because in all three of his fights that he participates in, he doesn't really receive any substantial amount of damage. Drained Chakra and a broken finger is the most damage that we've ever seen him take in part 1. The best feat that we've seen Shikamaru performed is being able to restrain Hyuga, who had Curse Mark level 2 activated. This should get him to town level with his AP. I am aware that the Shadow Possession Jutsu is capable of restraining people who outscale you, as shown when Shikamaru restrains Gaara as well as the Sound 4 collectively. Still, keeping his Jutsu conjured despite Hyuga overpowering him is a significant feat if I do say so myself. And in Naruto, since AP is equal to durability, this would mean that Shikamaru's durability should be in the ranges of town level, due to the 10 times amp Hyuga likely gets from Curse Mark level 2. Shikamaru only has 2 moves to his name, the Shadow Possession Jutsu and the Shadow Strangle Jutsu. These jutsu are usually able to restrain someone regardless if they outscale them or not. Shadow Strangle also allows you to use the same shadow and strangle your opponent with it, and the closer you are, the more effective it will be. As for IQ, this is Shikamaru's greatest weapon. He has shown the ability to break down a situation or fight and immediately come up with countermeasures. He prefers the slow, methodical approach so that he can strategize for any possible countermeasures that the enemy may come up with. When it comes to weaknesses, he has a few: stamina, experience, and taijutsu. Shikamaru's chakra reserves are well above an ordinary shinobi. Most people will have you believe that Shikamaru has really low chakra reserves, but that's just not true. Due to the nature of the Shadow Possession Jutsu, it requires a large amount of chakra to use the jutsu, as well as require a large amount of chakra to keep the opponent restrained. And depending on if they are stronger than you or not, it will require you to use even more of your chakra to keep them restrained. Experience? It's the same as Neji's. Shikamaru did go on an A-rank mission to rescue Sasuke with Naruto and Sakura, but he kinda got saved by Asuma. Taijutsu is a given. Shikamaru is a ranged fighter who mainly relies on subduing his opponents. And the Naruto databooks confirm that he is no better than someone like Ino or started the series Naruto when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Now of course Shikamaru hasn't really been put into any situations where he needs to be good at hand-to-hand combat, but it's still something that I thought I'd mention. Now when it comes to speed, we only have 2 fights to go off of, his fight against Naruto and his second fight against Sakan and Ukon. Now his fight versus Naruto I can't really use or scale since Orochimaru placed a 5-prong seal on him, which prevented him from being able to use his chakra correctly. So we have to use his fight in the recovery mission as well as statements. Now I mentioned before that Sasuke was able to casually dodge the Sound 4 while being jumped, as well as being able to land consecutive hits on Sakan and Ukon. Now even though Sasuke landed all of his attacks on him, he couldn't even scratch Sakan. Now Kiba was able to show relativity to the same Sakan and Ukon, and he was even shown dodging their attacks on a few occasions. It's also shown in the data book that by the end of part 1, Kiba managed to reach speeds equivalent to Lee and Neji based off of stats. Now since Kiba has always been portrayed as a speedy character, it doesn't really shock me that he was able to reach speeds equivalent to Lee when he activated his first gate without his weights on. Now I'm not sure if this would apply to base form Kiba, or if he would need to be using man beast transformation, or if he would need to eat a food pill. I'm going to assume the latter, and if this is true and Kiba did reach Lee speed by the end of part 1, he should be at around Mach 290, the same as gate 1 weightless Lee and base Neji. Now in terms of durability and AP, we see Kiba and Akimichi are able to withstand multiple blows from Sakan and Ukon. Now Kiba and Akimichi fought them while they were in their first and second stages of the Curse Mark. which I mentioned based off of Jirobo's earlier statement. The second stage should at bare minimum be a 10 times amp for the rest of the Sound 4. Also, Kiba was able to damage them while he was using Wolf Fang over Fang, which should at bare minimum give him town level AP when he's using that form, and apply the knowledge that AP equals durability in Naruto, and that would mean Kiba's durability is now town level as well. The best ability in Kiba's arsenal is definitely his sense of smell. With this, Kiba can gauge the strength of his opponents by smelling their chakra as well as close off any blind spots. And of course, he has his trusted partner Akimichi, who can transform into a clone of himself thanks to the Man-Beast clone jutsu, as well as assist Kiba with around the same strength, essentially making Akimichi an extension of Kiba's abilities. Also, to enhance his strength during combat, Kiba often gives himself and Akimichi food pills which greatly increase their strength and speed during the battle. Well, when it comes to IQ, there isn't really much to talk about. He's not really stupid or anything, he's more so just indecisive, as weird as that sounds. For example, when Kiba and Akimichi used Wolf Fang over Fang against Sakan and Ukon, it was actually Akamaru's idea and not Kiba's. For example, Akimichi choosing the choice for Kiba just proves how indecisive he can be at certain situations. When it comes to weaknesses, it's definitely his sense of smell, experience, and Akimichi. His sense of smell isn't just good, it appears to be overly sensitive to certain smells, as shown when Naruto... Yeah. Kiba's greatest strength is also his biggest weakness. If you're fighting Kiba and you prioritize killing Akimichi, Kiba's a goner. Most, if not a good majority of Kiba's movesets and strategies depend on if Akimichi is helping him. Without Akimichi, Kiba's battle strength is essentially split in half. For example, Fang over Fang needs Akimichi. Man-Beast clone needs Akimichi. Dynamic marking needs Akimichi. Wolf Fang over Fang needs Akimichi. Naruto essentially took advantage of this when he tried to use Kiba to get Akimichi out of their fight so he could even the playing fields. Now, speed is something that I didn't want to cover for Choji, but I kinda have to. Choji is pretty slow. The data books as well as the characters in the manga confirm that Choji is a relatively slow character, which is understandable, but unlike Shikamaru where I could give him the benefit of the doubt and try to scale him off of Rock Lee, I can't really do that with Choji because everything suggests that he is nowhere near the others in terms of base speed. Now initially I wanted to try to scale base Choji's speed off of Dozu to try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but even the data books confirm that Choji didn't even reach Dozu's speed by the end of part 1. So what I can do is just try to scale Choji's speed feats off of the pills. So in chapter 188, we see Jirobo charges everyone and Choji intercepts him after eating the green spinach pill. Now, I'm not sure if this would count as an AP feat or a speed feat, but when Choji eats the yellow curry pill, he's able to land some blows on Jirobo in the anime, and in the manga he was only able to land one blow before using super expansion jutsu, which should put yellow pill Choji relative to Jirobo. And even though Jirobo is the slowest and weakest member of the Sound 4 overall, he should still be relative to the other Sound 4 in terms of reaction speed, at least to some degree. We can assume that yellow pill Choji would be relative to Chunin exam Sasuke and Lee without his weights. This is more so an assumption because although we see him casually block attacks from Kiba and from Naruto in the anime, this didn't happen in the manga. And to put it into perspective, this was after he took a considerable amount of chakra from them, so it's really hard to say. But I still believe yellow pill Choji should be relative to weightless Lee when he isn't using any of his gates, which should put Choji at around Mach 58, which will be high hypersonic. And last but not least, we have the red pepper pill. Now this is stated by Choji to increase his strength by 100 times. Now he says he's 100 times stronger than before. I'm not sure if he means 100 times his base or if he's 100 times stronger than his yellow curry form. I'm assuming he means he's 100 times his base form, so we'll go off of that. I've seen several people claim that this statement is hyperbole and they simply just assume that he was hyping himself up. I believe this is wrong because of two things. Choji was not hyping himself up because he only ate the pill to protect his friends and ensure the mission will be a success. And two, it makes no sense for the statement to be hyperbole because as far as Choji is concerned, he was taking the pill fully aware that the side effects would kill him. So I think it's safe to say that Choji being 100 times stronger would be true, and I also feel like this would apply to his speed since he effortlessly dodged Jirobo in Curse Mark level 2 and was effortlessly blocking him with one hand. Now we are aware that base Choji is slow and that we know that he isn't as fast as Lee, but for the sake of the argument, let's just say at bare minimum base Choji is relative to a weighted Lee with no gates, aka Mach 1. Now if we increase Choji's speed by 100 times, we can get him to massively hypersonic. This should put him at around 40 times faster than Chunin exam Sasuke, since we are aware that Sasuke is relative to a weightless Lee with no gates. Choji is able to withstand the pain of all three Akimichi clan's pills and survive. His first showcase of durability was when he fought Dosu in the Chunin exams, and well... Yeah. But that shouldn't downgrade his durability since 2 hits of Dosu's jutsu left Lee knocked out. Now Choji is shown constantly taking blows from curse mark level 1 and 2 Jirobo even after having a majority of his chakra drained. This should put his durability at town level similar to the others. And after consuming the yellow curry pill, Choji is seen using the super expansion jutsu and casually able to perform a town level feat, which forced Jirobo into a second stage of the curse mark. So we can assume that Choji's AP and durability are within the ranges of town level. Now Choji is a pretty streamlined guy. His biggest hacks is definitely the Akimichi's clan triple threat. 3 pills that grant the user explosive power at the cost of some severe side effects. When it comes to IQ, I'd say Choji is average. He isn't really shown to be a fighter who strategizes. He's more of a fighter who just fights to see how it plays out. Not to underestimate him, but we only have one battle to truly gauge how smart he is. And we haven't really seen him apply his battle IQ in situations like Shikamaru or Neji. Now the databook basically insinuates that he is dumber than Naruto, but I'm assuming this is referring to actual intelligence, not battle IQ. When it comes to weaknesses, it's definitely experience, his speed, and those pills. Experience. Like I said with the others, Choji hasn't really been in any life-threatening battles before, so he doesn't really have experience with fighting to the death. Choji's speed is definitely his weakest attribute. If someone is significantly faster than him, then he won't even have a chance to use his secret weapon, which is the pills. And last but not least, the pills. The pills grant you explosive power, but each pill damages you so much. Even the green pill left Choji with severe pain. The next thing that's wrong with these pills is that they seem to be only short bursts of energy. At most, I would assume each pill lasts about a minute each, but even then that's probably a highball. But I think that a minute would make the most sense considering how fast we see the effects of the pills wearing off in the anime and the manga. And I haven't seen anything in the data books which suggests that it lasts a long time. Before we kick off how I'm going to scale Naruto's speed, what I have to do is address the elephant in the room. The famous Naruto is light speed by the Land of Waves argument. If you have seen any versus battle regarding part 1 Naruto, you have seen people throw this around as if their life depends on it. Now when people say that Naruto isn't light speed at the Land of Waves, they usually say the same thing. Generally it says Haku can move at light speed between his mirrors, and Haku was moving from the mirror to the ground, so that wouldn't count. That's usually the argument that I hear for people saying that Naruto isn't light speed. More so, I think that part 1 Naruto isn't light speed due to the consistency within the series. So if we assume that KM0 Naruto was going toe to toe with a light speed Haku, this would kind of invalidate the other times where he uses Kuruma's power. For instance, we know the amount of chakra Naruto gets from Kuruma also translates into his speed. When Naruto received chakra from Kuruma when fighting Neji as well as Sasuke, Naruto was getting hit by people who do not scale to light speed. Now I'm not saying Haku isn't light speed because he blitzed Kakashi and Zabuza when he was using his ice mirrors. I just don't believe that Haku was using that speed on Naruto and Sasuke. And this is further substantiated when we see Haku intentionally avoid their vital spots when attacking. As well as a 2-Tomoe Sasuke was reacting to Haku as well, but then he got his back blown out by a weighted Rock Lee. And if you believe that a weighted Rock Lee is light speed, then we have nothing more to talk about. There, now that we finally got that out of the way, we can finally discuss Naruto's speed. Now in terms of speed, Naruto showed relativity to Sasuke on the rooftop. Now before someone says this again, yes, the Sasuke that Naruto fought was weaker due to him still recovering from Itachi's Genjutsu. But if we assume that Naruto would be relative to base Sasuke in the tuning exams, that would make Naruto in base Mach 58, which is relative to a weightless Rock Lee. And this shouldn't be that unbelievable when we factor in the Rasengan training along with Naruto's fight with Kabuto. But also keep in mind that the databooks confirm that by the end of part 1, Naruto would be relative to Neji in speed, who was also relative to Rock Lee with the first gate, who was Mach 290, since we apply the first gate's 5 times amp to Lee's base speed without his weights. Now this is important to distinguish because the databooks confirm that Neji isn't as fast as Lee initially either, so it's safe to assume that similar to Neji, Naruto is relative to Lee, just not in travel speed. Neji had the edge on Lee in terms of reaction and combat speed, so I believe Naruto's reaction speed is relative to Neji's. Now later on in this arc, we have Naruto fighting Sasuke, where before he gets his amp from the Nine Tails, he is severely outclassed and doesn't have any good speed feats outside of using Kurama. Now when Naruto uses Kurama, he is easily able to outspeed Sasuke and consistently land blows on him before Sasuke awakens his third Tomoe. But when Sasuke unlocks his third Tomoe, Naruto is unable to keep up with him until he activated his one-tailed cloak. Now assuming that Sasuke and Naruto are both relative in their curse mark level 2 and one-tail forms, this will mean that at bare minimum Naruto and Sasuke would have an increase of 10 times similar to Jirobo. Now if we apply the 10 times amp to Naruto's base, we can get Naruto from Mach 290 all the way up to Mach 2900, which is massively hypersonic plus, and his one-tail's cloak. Holy shit, that's fast. Naruto by far has the best durability of anyone on the Sasuke Retrieval team. Naruto was able to get back up after getting hit by Neji's 8 trigram 64 palms, which is durability negation. He was able to withstand multiple attacks from Gaara's tailed beast form. He's able to just completely tank sand shuriken, which are strong enough to go through a tree. He's able to withstand a shuriken piercing through his hand and just smile while it happened. And he is able to withstand the blow of a fully powered Chidori to the chest. Naruto is a monster. Now, due to Naruto's relativity to Sasuke in his curse mark level 2 state, we can easily assume that they're at least town level due to their superiority in AP compared to the other members of the Sound 4. Now, I have heard that Naruto would be large mountain level by the end of part 1, but I have not seen any feats that suggest this. Even the famous Rasengan Chidori Clash has only calced the building level due to the blast radius surrounding it. Now, I can highball Naruto's one tail form to large town level in AP and durability, but if I go any higher, I will be being biased. When it comes to hacks, Naruto is a walking talking cheat code. Thanks to Naruto having Kushina as a mother, Naruto has extremely high chakra reserves due to him being a member of the Uzumaki clan. Pair that with the Nine Tails giving Naruto even more chakra on top of superhuman abilities like enhanced regeneration, enhanced strength, speed, durability, and stamina, as well as having enough chakra to create shockwaves by simply punching the air or by simply shouting. There really isn't anything that Naruto can't do. When it comes to IQ, particularly battle IQ, this is something that people constantly overrate in regards to Naruto. Naruto is not good at breaking down fights and being able to adapt to different situations. Naruto is very crafty and has come up with some really clever plays like the transformation trick on Zabuza and tricking Neji with his shadow clones. But Naruto is just that, crafty. I think a reason why his battle IQ catches so many people off guard is because people generally believe that Naruto is just an idiot. So when Naruto comes up with any kind of strategy, it surprises them. No, I'm not saying that Naruto is an idiot. He can catch you off guard if you underestimate him, but that's about all he can do. When it comes to weaknesses, it's definitely his chakra control, his versatility, and his battle IQ. Chakra control is a given since Naruto is someone who struggles with the basics of chakra control. Even at the end of part 1, Naruto's control has gotten significantly better, but Naruto still expends more energy than he needs to. This is mainly due to the influence of Kurama messing with Naruto's control. The next is versatility, and this has been a running gag within the Naruto community for years. Shadow Clone Jutsu and Rasengan is about all he has. Now, what's wrong isn't the fact that Naruto mainly relies on 2 tricks, it's how he applies them. Naruto doesn't have any amazing strategies to trick his enemies into landing a Rasengan or any creative applications of using Shadow Clone Jutsu with his fighting style. A majority of fights in Naruto consist of Naruto spamming Shadow Clones to create an opening to finish off his enemy. Now keep in mind, everyone that Naruto has fought during part 1 aside from Gaara has had better taijutsu than him. But what Naruto does to compensate for his lack of taijutsu skill is to overwhelm his enemies through sheer numbers alone. And usually if people are able to run through Naruto's clones, he will try to wait for an opening where he can strike you. Now, before scaling Tanjiro's speed, I have to address a common misconception. Now, of course, when regarding speed scaling in Demon Slayer, a popular feat that people bring up is in the Swordsmith Village arc, and it's when Mitsuri, the Love Hashira, cut Zohakuten's Sonic Blast and Lightning in chapter 122. Now, this is something everyone has to know when scaling this. This feat in particular is not the same as Cloud to Ground Lightning, since the lightning is coming from Zohakuten's Wood Dragons. So you cannot scale this as if the lightning is coming from the clouds. Now, keep in mind, I didn't say that there aren't any lightning speed feats in the Swordsmith Village arc. It's just that the feats that I've seen people use are not lightning speed feats. Before I go on, I should probably explain what is a lightning speed feat. So what I and other power scalers define as a lightning fast feat is in regards to dodging it. It would have to be lightning that goes all the way up to the clouds and comes back down to the ground. Now in Demon Slayer, we have 3 feats that are actual cloud to ground lightning. Before I go over it, I have to go over the blood demon arts of the characters who use said lightning. Now, upper 4 of the 12 Kizuki has clones that can split and divide into separate entities that have their own separate blood demon arts. The 2 I'm going to be going over are Sekido and Zohakuten. Sekido's blood demon art allows him to generate lightning from his staff and control natural lightning by summoning it from above. Zohakuten has all of the abilities of the 4 emotions while also having the ability to manifest wood dragons that can use all of the other emotions' blood demon arts. Now to summon lightning, instead of using the staff, he has to bang the drum located on his back. Now, like I said before, there are 3 feats in which they are cloud to ground lightning. They are on chapters 112, 113, and 123, and in the anime, these are episodes 5, 6, and 10. The first feat is Nezuko carrying Tanjiro while dodging Sekido's lightning. Now, every other time that they have been hit with the staff's lightning, it will go straight towards them. This happened when Tanjiro and Nezuko got hit, as well as when Genya got hit. But while Sekido is shooting lightning at Nezuko, it is coming from above him and even coming from in front of Nezuko, which indicates that it's coming from the clouds. Here's the anime clip to show you. The second feat is Tanjiro pushing Genya out of the way of Sekido's lightning. Now when Tanjiro pushes Genya out of the way, instead of the lightning shooting directly towards them like we've seen in the other times, it comes from directly above them again. Here's the anime clip to prove it. And the third feat is just flat out definitive proof that it's cloud to ground lightning. Now after Mitsuri gets hit with Zohakuten's sound blast, Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko try to take Mitsuri away to regroup. Now keep in mind, look at where all three of them are facing. They're all facing towards Mitsuri's back. Now you're probably wondering, why is that important? It's important because all of them are running away from Zohakuten, meaning that he is right behind them. Meaning that he is facing Mitsuri's front side and not her backside. Now if you look at this clip from the anime, tell me what you notice. If you paid close attention, you can see that the lightning came from above Zohakuten, and we can also see that there aren't any wood dragons and that he stayed stationary. Now, if you still don't believe me that that's definitive proof that it's cloud to ground lightning, I'll replay you this portion of the clip and you tell me if you notice anything. Yep, Nezuko and Genya were both looking into the air. We know that they aren't looking at Zohakuten because in the shots where we see them looking into the air, we can still see the kanji from Mitsuri's uniform. And since we established that Zohakuten is behind them facing Mitsuri's front side, this proves that Mitsuri was able to react to cloud to ground lightning. And keep in mind, this is a base Mitsuri with no Demon Slayer mark. And after the Hashira training arc and during the Infinity Castle arc, all of the Hashiras as well as Tanjiro should be relative to Mitsuri in base. Especially since all of the other Hashiras as well as Tanjiro were outperforming her all throughout the Infinity Castle and the Sunrise Countdown. This would put Tanjiro without the Slayer mark at Mach 1282 in terms of reaction speed since we're scaling him off of Mitsuri. Now this should also apply to Tanjiro's travel speed as well. In page 56 of the Demon Slayer fan book, it confirms that by using thunder breathing, the user is able to move like lightning. Now this is narratively consistent since Zenitsu was able to blitz Kaigaku's Blood Demon art, which is based off of his breathing style, and this has been calculated to be as fast as Massively Hypersonic Plus. Now this should apply to Tanjiro because all throughout the series, him, Zenitsu, and Inosuke have all showed relativity towards each other. Tanjiro should realistically be faster than Zenitsu due to the multiple ways he can amplify his statistics, so we can say that Tanjiro's travel speed and reaction speed are both relative to each other. Now the Demon Slayer fanbook does explain that Zenitsu's 7th form moves like a dart of light, and although the 7th form is much faster than any of his other forms based off of Zenitsu's statements, I will personally not use this as a feat, simply due to the fact that it's more narratively consistent to say that Zenitsu is as fast as lightning rather than as fast as a dart of light. Plus, the statement itself is rather vague. A flash of light can mean anything from 1% the speed of light to 99% the speed of light, so I don't think that this is usable. And I'm not trying to downscale their speed, it's just that this statement doesn't have enough proof to it. Now Tanjiro has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different ways to boost his statistics or his speed. He has total concentration constant, the Demon Slayer mark, repetitive motions, as well as the see-through world. Now in Tanjiro's fight with Gyutaro, he awakens the Demon Slayer mark, and he says a single blow won't be enough, summon 100 times that strength. The Swordsmith Village arc as well as the Infinity Castle arc both show that the Demon Slayer mark is an amp in all of your stats, like strength, speed, AP, durability, and you even have enhanced breathing techniques as well as poison resistance. Now obviously this is very similar to Choji saying he's 100 times stronger than before, but it's hard to use this statement as an actual fact. Now, of course, I might be called biased because how come you're using Choji's statement as a fact but not Tanjiro's? Well, it's mainly because of 2 things. Choji knows the effects of the pills and how they work, so he would have no reason to hype himself up when he knew that he would die. And although Tanjiro was sure that he was going to die to Gyutaro's poison, he had no idea of the Slayer Mark's existence prior to the Entertainment District. We only have Tanjiro's statement as well as Gyoko's statement where he says he is worth 100 Muichiros. There isn't anything in the light novels or the fanbooks that reinforce this. And although the feats and statements align with each other, it's just unusable in a power scaling sense. Now before someone comes at me, yes, I know manga creators do not write their stories to adhere to power scaling, but it's just really hard to gauge. Now if you guys have any proof that the Demon Slayer mark amps your stats by 100 times, then please tell me in the comments. But in terms of power scaling within the Demon Slayer community, it's widely accepted that the Demon Slayer mark at bare minimum amps your stats by 10, so we'll go with that. So in Tanjiro's fight against Akaza, even though he was getting tagged up, he was able to show relativity towards Akaza and even tagged him on several occasions. Akaza was overpowering Tanjiro and Giyu thanks to the compass, but Tanjiro was still able to keep up with Akaza's speed thanks to the help of the Demon Slayer mark. Now during the end of their fight, Tanjiro unlocked a new ability called the See-Through World, and I'll explain how it works later on in the video. But thanks to the insane speed increase that the See-Through World gives you, Tanjiro was able to speed blitz Akaza. So in power scaling, it's widely accepted that in order to speed blitz a character, you should at bare minimum be 4 times faster than your opponent. For this video, I'll lowball that and say that the See-Through World only amps Tanjiro's speed by 2 times, so I'm not overrating Tanjiro. Now if we apply the 10 times amp from the Slayer mark and the 2 times amp from the See-Through World and we apply this to Tanjiro's base speed of Mach 1282, this would make Tanjiro with the Slayer mark and the See-Through World Mach 15,384, or sub-relativistic. Now this should be the baseline for Tanjiro's speed because he has additional ways to amp up his statistics that I did not mention, like repetitive motions and total concentration constant. But even though we only covered 2 out of the 4 ways that Tanjiro can boost up his speed, I still believe that this is more or less accurate. So when talking about durability, Tanjiro is no joke. Now commonly you'll see people bring this up.
What the hell? Oh my god!
But keep in mind, that material was made from a 12 Kizuki member, and Tanjiro doesn't just have one showcase of good durability. Tanjiro was able to withstand the force of Yahaba's arrows dragging him in every direction. Tanjiro was able to tank an attack from Daki that destroyed part of the entertainment district and all it did was piss him off. And he was able to withstand a blow from Gyutaro and resist his poison long enough to cut off his head. And Tengen as well as Gyutaro were able to destroy the entirety of the entertainment district during their clash, which should be calced to around city block level. Also, Tanjiro was able to tank Akaza's attack and still blitz him afterwards. Now we also have the feat performed by Upper 4, which can be calced to require 941 tons of kinetic energy, which would be multi-city block level. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky, because Doma was able to perform the giant ice statue feat, which has been calced to city block level. But we also have 2 feats from Rengoku, that being moving the entirety of the Mugen train simply by dashing, which has been calced to multi-city block level, and we also have Akaza and Rengoku's clash, which also has been calced to multi-city block level. Now we can assume that Doma's AP feats were only inferior to Upper 4 and Akaza's AP feats due to Shinobu's poison. Now we know 13th form Tanjiro should scale off with the likes of a prime Doma, Akaza, as well as a weakened Muzan who should scale comparable to Upper 1. So with Tanjiro's 13th form, he should massively outscale the multi-city block level feat performed by Upper Moon 4. So at bare minimum, I believe that we can say that 13th form Tanjiro should scale to small town level in AP and durability, considering that he gains multiple amps and essentially power clips Zohakuten, who was able to perform this feat. I mentioned this before, but Tanjiro has 4 different ways to boost his statistics. Technically 5, but we'll go over them. They are total concentration constant, the Demon Slayer mark, repetitive motions, the See-Through World, as well as the bright red Nichiren blade. Now to give you a general rundown without going fully into depth, total concentration breathing allows the user to inhale more oxygen to their body to greatly increase their physical capabilities and even assist them with stronger breathing techniques. Total concentration constant is an evolved version of total concentration breathing. This allows you to maintain the state of total concentration 24/7. Traditionally, swordsmen would only use total concentration when performing breathing techniques, which would typically only last a few seconds. But by doing this, you increase the strength of your lungs to help you ascend past your limits. The greatest benefit of total concentration is definitely the increased oxygen that goes to your brain. This allows Tanjiro and the others who use it to perceive events faster than any normal human. Like I stated earlier, the Slayer mark is a mysterious mark that appears under specific circumstances in battle. But with enough training, one can summon the mark and greatly improve their base stats, and it's said to be the key for the Slayers to match an Upper Moon strength. Now next is repetitive motion. To not waste your time, only 4 people in the series have this: Genya, Guillaume, Inosuke, and Tanjiro. By recalling a memory or saying a phrase out loud or in your head, you can boost your concentration and reach a state of total concentration breathing. The amps you get are just as significant as total concentration constant, and allow humans to be able to compete with demons. The See-Through World is definitely the most broken power-up in Tanjiro's arsenal. The see-through world allows you to reach a state of total concentration and essentially view the world around you as if everything was moving in slow motion. With this, you get a complete view of your enemy's body similar to X-ray vision, allowing you to essentially predict any possible attack through muscle contractions and through blood flow, or at least having a guarantee that during a fight you will always land the first blow. The advantage to this is that it's almost impossible to hit someone who has this active. Now you're probably wondering, how did Obanai, Gyome, and Muichiro get hit? That's because they don't have complete access to the see-through world. For those three, it just shuts on randomly. Tanjiro, Yurichi, and Kokushibo are the only people who are capable of turning on or off the see-through world at will. When Tanjiro mastered the Breath of the Sun from Yurichi, he gained complete mastery over the see-through world, due to needing permanent access to the see-through world in order to use the 13th form and strike all of Muzan's hearts and brains. Now, due to Muzan's cell-destroying poison, Tanjiro's see-through world kept shutting off, and he had to keep turning it back on manually. But like I said in the beginning of the video, no poison version of Tanjiro and no chakra drain versions of these characters, so that they can fight at their full potential. The last stat amplifier he has is the bright red Nichiren blade. Mostly people assume that this only applies to demons, but it doesn't. Red blades are just Nichiren blades that have a higher concentration of heat, which greatly increase the strength and AP of your attacks and are said to be the key to beating Muzan. Also, this is able to completely hamper the regeneration of upper moons, who can pretty much regenerate in an instant. So the increase in power paired with the regeneration nullification makes this blade pretty OP. Tanjiro also has multiple breathing forms like water breathing and sun breathing, and he's able to switch through these seamlessly. Not to mention, he is able to use a defensive style like the Breath of Water, or he is able to use an offensive style like the Breath of the Sun. When it comes to IQ, Tanjiro is a prodigy. He's able to brilliantly apply his IQ in battle, think on the fly, gauge extreme situations while under pressure, and is excellent in life or death situations that require immediate attention. He's truly a genius. When it comes to weaknesses, he has one big one, and it's his sword. Now, Tanjiro doesn't have really any set weaknesses, but I will say without a sword, Tanjiro damn near can't do anything. Now, Tanjiro does have experience in hand-to-hand combat, and he is able to adapt to people like Inosuke and Sanemi, but that doesn't mean that he's above someone like Akaza or Neji. Now, yes, Akaza did state that Tanjiro reached the state of Anada, which is the peak of martial arts, but he was referring to Tanjiro's martial arts ability with a sword, not his overall martial arts ability. Now, yes, breathing techniques can be used without weapons, but they are tailor-made for them. It would be disingenuous to say that Tanjiro is an amazing hand-to-hand fighter, just like it would be disingenuous to say that Zoro could beat Sanji without any swords. Now, let's get into each of the battles, starting with Tanjiro versus Neji. Now, if we compare their stats, Neji does have superior AP and durability, while Tanjiro has the advantage in speed. The biggest flaw with this battle, however, is that Neji cannot damage Tanjiro. Tanjiro is someone who does not have a chakra network, so the Gentle Fist fighting style would be ineffective on him. The only thing that Neji can use to hurt Tanjiro is by using ninja tools or by using his rotation, which are not enough to put Tanjiro down. Now, you're probably wondering, well, if Neji can't hurt Tanjiro, why didn't you equalize the power systems? And that's because verse equalization only works between two verses that have similar power systems. Chakra and breaths have nothing in common with each other. Also, it doesn't help Neji's case that Tanjiro's base form is by far faster than Neji's. Not to mention, when Tanjiro starts boosting his stats by using the see-through world, the Slayer mark, or by repetitive motions, it's over. The Byakugan is good and it does allow you to virtually have no blind spots, but if you can't perceive Tanjiro's speed, then why does it matter if you can see in every direction or not? Next is Shikamaru, and this is where things get kind of interesting. Yes, similar to Neji, he does have higher AP and durability, and Tanjiro does have higher speed, but that doesn't really matter. What does is if Shikamaru can capture Tanjiro with his shadow. Now, normally no, Tanjiro is far too fast to get hit with shadow possession jutsu. Not to mention, all of his stat boosters along with his precognition doesn't make this an easy battle for Shikamaru. Now, could Shikamaru come up with a strategy to outsmart Tanjiro and capture him with his shadow possession jutsu? And to that, I would still say no. So Shikamaru has had 3 fights throughout the entirety of part 1. What do all of these 3 fights have in common? All 3 of these girls were ranged fighters who all gave Shikamaru enough breathing room and time to formulate a strategy. Asuma even confirms that Shikamaru acts like an old man due to the fact that he likes to take things slow and steady and plan for every possible countermeasure. Now, if you were to put Shikamaru up against someone like Lee, Neji, or Naruto, people who are aggressive close-range fighters, then Shikamaru would be at a huge disadvantage since he has never shown the ability to break down a fight while constantly being pressured. Tanjiro is a very aggressive fighter and will not give Shikamaru any breathing room to come up with a strategy to defeat him. Not to mention, due to total concentration breathing, Tanjiro is able to process events faster than any normal human. In addition, Tanjiro's battle IQ is far superior due to the fact that Tanjiro is able to formulate strategies while in the midst of being outnumbered or being overwhelmed. If you don't believe me, just look at Tanjiro's fight against Yahaba, Enmu, Gyutaro, Upper 4, Akaza, or even Muzan. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying that Shikamaru doesn't have a great battle IQ, I'm saying that he isn't used to formulating strategies when people are constantly applying pressure on him. Shikamaru has no way of landing Shadow Possession Jutsu and no way of putting down Tanjiro. Kiba is next, and I'm not going to waste your time with this. There is no scenario where Kiba comes out on top. For one, if Tanjiro just decides to immediately go for Akimichi, Kiba's a goner, due to the fact that most of Kiba's moves do not work without Akimichi. Now you're probably wondering, what if Kiba could use Wolf Fang over Fang? Wouldn't it be enough to one-shot Tanjiro? And yes, it would, but he would still have to pull off the jutsu and land it. The way Wolf Fang over Fang works is by Akimichi using dynamic marking to blind the opponent and by marking them, then unleashing an attack by cutting them in half. Now, there are two things wrong with this. Even if he does blind Tanjiro, Tanjiro still has exceptional instincts, great sense of smell, and he has the see-through world, all of which can be used without his eyes. Just like the others, there's nothing stopping Tanjiro from immediately blitzing him and chopping off his head. Next up is Choji, so let's get into it. Now, most of you would probably be assuming, couldn't Choji just use Super Expansion Jutsu to squash Tanjiro? And the answer to that is no, because Tanjiro is relative to characters like Zenitsu who are able to move like lightning. And to make things worse, he still has a form of precognition that slows down his perception of time. And in addition, Tanjiro also has the Breath of Thunder's first form, Thunderclap and Flash, on his side. And keep in mind, Tanjiro, while using the see-through world, was able to perceive marked Giyu and Akaza in slow motion. And if Tanjiro was able to perceive those two in slow motion, Choji might as well be frozen in time. Not to mention, all of Choji's pills have a time limit, while Tanjiro can use his abilities indefinitely. Again, like I said with the others, there really isn't any win cons for Choji. Now, for the part that you all have been waiting for, Naruto versus Tanjiro, who wins? Now, I'm pretty sure we don't need to discuss base Naruto, he isn't doing shit to Tanjiro. Now, K and Zero Naruto and One Tails Naruto are the only things that we need to concern ourselves with. Could Naruto beat Tanjiro by overwhelming him with shadow clones? And the answer to that is no. Naruto's taijutsu, especially during part 1, is not good. He is definitely not better than someone like Lee, Neji, or even Akaza in terms of hand-to-hand combat. And according to Akaza, thanks to Tanjiro's selfless state, he was able to reach a state of Anada, which is the peak of martial arts. Now, during Naruto's fight with Sasuke, he was able to catch Sasuke off guard a few times. But the difference between Tanjiro and Sasuke's precognition is that Sasuke's precognition, the Sharingan, is sight-based. If he can't see you, then he can get caught off guard. On the other hand, Tanjiro can tell where you are simply based off of your scent. And since Naruto has no way to mask his scent, he wouldn't be able to blindside Tanjiro the same way he did to Sasuke. Now you're probably wondering, how could Tanjiro kill Naruto if he can't distinguish the real Naruto from a shadow clone? Well, the answer to that is that he can distinguish them. First of all, Naruto has Kurama, who killed hundreds of innocent people. Tanjiro would simply be able to smell the scent of blood from Kurama and identify the real Naruto that way. Or 2, Tanjiro would be able to differentiate the real Naruto from a shadow clone based off of their strength. Since Naruto is far stronger than any of his shadow clones, he would be able to tell who the real Naruto is based off of his scent. I am aware that Naruto's shadow clone does split the chakra in half between a clone and a jutsu caster, but it's already established that shadow clones and Naruto are similar but not as strong as the originals. Now lastly, One Tail Naruto versus 13th form Tanjiro. Well, if we still compare their speed, it's still not close at all. But there is one possible thing that makes this kind of tricky for Tanjiro, and that's the One Tail's chakra armor. Now I believe Tanjiro can bypass this for 3 reasons. 1, he has 5 ways to amp up his stats so AP won't be an issue. 2, unlike the Four Tails cloak and above, this Naruto has to consciously use the armor to defend himself, so it's not automatic. And 3, Tanjiro has an ability that counters this, which is the opening thread. I didn't go over this earlier in the video, so I'll give you a brief rundown. Now, during Tanjiro's training with Makamo, he gained something called the opening thread. The opening thread is an imaginary line that Tanjiro foresees by smelling the openings within one's defense. And since Naruto characters are their most vulnerable when they're off guard, it would be pretty easy for Tanjiro to cut off the head of One Tail's Naruto due to the fact that Tanjiro is still far faster than him. When it comes down to it, all these guys lack any win cons due to Tanjiro's superior speed and technique. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If this video does get enough love, I'll work on releasing the next video that I've been working on, Tanjiro vs Deku. If that sounds like a video that you guys would be interested in seeing, please leave a like and drop a comment to let me know. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.